little bit of exterior space that you might just gain without knowing that it's also for your safety. So for bricklaying, guys, we always have to get an engineer scaffold report that comes to us directly from the bricklayers. This protects that no penetration of water into the actual structure of the building. We do this on the exterior of all of our projects. One of the challenges we had with this unit is the client is actually concerned about losing headspace for the HVAC. Back and forth talks, able to come up with some concepts and ideas. You actually need more manpower, more time than just a person or two to be able to do the job. So to ensure the project stayed on budget, to stay on schedule, we had to keep these walls. Another one of our projects here in the West End, guys. Since you were here last time, bricklayers have shown up. So they've set up their scaffold and they started doing the bricklaying, and also the garden suite is some progression. So we're gonna go in there and see how it's been updated. As you can see, guys, bricklayers have set up. They've already done most of the ground level here. They've worked their way up to the top of the second floor. On the front here, there's gonna be a large porch that's gonna get installed after the brick is done, so we can secure it to the face of the brick, keep everything watertight. So for bricklaying, guys, we always have to get an engineer scaffold report that comes to us directly from the bricklayers. They go and get one of those themselves at the start of every project. So the scaffolding is all rectified. Once they get the report though, they will set up the scaffolding. They'll rectify it in a certain way that everything is safe and secure. Everything is all leveled properly to take the weight of the brick layers and also the weight of the brick that is carried and lifted up onto the scaffold itself. Scaffolding takes about 1 to 2 days put up. And then for them to do the bricklaying, it's usually about 2 to 4 days per floor, depending on the size of the building. Within 2 weeks though, we should have all the bricklayers completing their work, and we'll be on to finishing the siding. There's many different styles of brick. There's many different colors you can use for the mortar in the brick. Also, there's also a lot of different finishes. Our client here actually requested that we do the soldier course across the top of the brick. Usually you can just do a straight lay, but there are many other different ventures. He himself chose the soldier course. That's where the bricks stand upright, almost like soldiers in a line. The windows on the upper floors have already been completed, but to ensure that they don't get scratched or damaged or any of the mortar doesn't mess up the paint on the frame of the windows, we cover all of our windows in plastic to ensure that they are cleaned, and also to make sure that when the client receives the product, it's exactly what he wanted with no damages. As we move around the back of the building, you can see that we've already done the blue skin. This is a watertight resistant material. This protects that no penetration of water into the actual structure of the building. We do this on the exterior of all of our projects. So at the front, you saw the brick. Over here, you're gonna see it later on. They'll be putting on some siding. So to be a pre-finished material. There'll be no painting required. And again, it's also water resistant and also has a fire rating. Moving to the back, we're coming upon one of our other garden suites. Again, 2-story garden suite. Lower level, you're gonna find the kitchen and you'll find the living room. Upstairs, you'll find 3 bedrooms and a washroom. Like you saw on the other building, blue skin's already been installed. On top of the blue skin, we add our 2-inch rigid insulation. This adds a bit of an R value to the exterior of the house. And then on top of this, you'll find your finished material. All right, so on the exterior, it's all been waterproof. So now the exterior has been protected. Now we're able to continue the work on the inside. We've poured the concrete slab here. Next, we're gonna be installing the windows. Plumbing's been passed for the inspections. So now we'll come back, we'll have the framers frame in all of the plumbing, do all of our bulkheads and all of our boxes. After that's completed, we'll have the HVAC guy come up. He's gonna finish running his ducts along the exterior of the product. And then after that, the electricians will come back, do all of their wiring. The city comes back, does their final framing inspections, plumbing inspections again, HVAC inspections, and electrical inspections. And then we'll be off to the races with insulation, drywall, taping, and then paint. One of the challenges we had with this unit is the client is actually concerned about losing headspace for the HVAC. So the HVAC does have to go in. Unfortunately, sometimes you're unable to avoid some of the conflicts of where you want to run it, because it has to get to certain points in the house for heating capabilities. You have to sometimes go back to the drawing board, talk with the client, talk with the HVAC company, talk with the city, come up with a plan if you need to make a change. Originally, the HVAC was supposed to just run directly down the center of this hallway. The client didn't like that. He didn't want to lose all the headspace because you lose about 1.5 feet of height in the hallway. So we had to go back to the drawing board, had to meet on site with a planner, had to meet on site with the homeowner, and also had to meet on site with the HVAC company. After a couple hours of duration, back and forth talks, able to come up with some concepts and ideas. And now instead of the hallway being the only place where the HVAC runs, now we'll be running it across the exterior above the bathroom and then running it in the floor joists above our height so that it actually doesn't lose the headspace, and we're able to get it to the extremities where each window is located and where the HVAC needs to heat the house. All right, guys, the difficulties here, sometimes smaller areas, smaller houses, smaller driveways. It's a lot smaller working areas. So this project here, getting the dirt out of the basement of the foundation in the back, we're using that to backfill around the new foundation. However, there's still too much dirt, so we have to get that dirt from the back out to the front. It's difficult, it's time consuming. Sometimes it takes a lot longer than we want to because it takes more manpower and less equipment. In this case here, we also have to deal with a very small bin. We have to deal with a small conveyor belt. Sometimes this process can take up to a week to get it to actually done properly and safely. Small window at the front is the only way to actually get the dirt out of the basement, other than to try to take it out by hand. If it was a larger site, you'd have an excavator on site with a dump truck. You would just scoop it into the dump truck would take it away. It can happen in 1 to 2 days. A project like this, you're looking up to 5 to 6 business days to actually get all the dirt removed. The new extension on the back here, guys, has been completed. You can see it's a nice new wall that's all finished up. Forms have been removed. It has been backfilled around the exterior. There's still a ton of dirt in the basement that has to be removed in the front old section. If you come around the back here, you can see that some of the backfill has been completed. However, we also have to do a window well made out of concrete that's at the back right-hand corner here. They have the forms in there. The rebar's been installed. So now the inspector will come back. He'll inspect this. We'll finish up the forming and we'll pour the concrete. Once that concrete is completed, we'll remove the forms. We'll do our waterproofing around that. And then we can continue to finish up the backfill and bring all the dirt around the exterior back up to the proper grade. So this is the conveyor belt here, guys. It has to go inside into the basement here. It takes a couple people to carry it inside. Place it right inside as a ramp. 2 to 3 guys inside shoveling the dirt as the conveyor belt's going. Brings it directly outside. Sometimes it has to fall outside and they have to shovel it from here into the bin. In this case, that's what had to happen because you couldn't get the bin up close enough to actually have the conveyor belt reach. Sometimes it's much more of a labor-driven process. You actually need more manpower, more time than just a person or two to be able to do the job. Luckily, we had hired the right guys. They were supportive. They showed up on time. They showed up daily. They got the task done in less time than expected, and now we're on to the next steps. Where basement has been brought down to the proper height. We're gonna get ready now to pour the basement flooring. Once the basement floors are done, we're gonna start framing and we're gonna start building up again. So this is the old existing structure for the project here. As you can see, we've had to reinforce and we had to support the exterior walls on both sides. This was required by the engineers and by the city to actually continue to safely do work at the project. Because we are keeping the exterior walls, they are not allowed to be removed. If we remove them, we actually have to create a new wall and you actually have to go back to the city for a revision to permit. This can be a long, grueling process, can delay your projects, can be very costly as well. So to ensure the project stayed on budget, to stay on schedule, we had to keep these walls. So temporarily, while we're doing all the work in the back and in the basement, we have to use these 2x6 structures bolted into the brick of the wall on both sides. This was inspected by the engineer. It was approved. The report was given to the city and we're allowed to proceed with the other work on site. Once the work in the basement's completed, we're going to connect the top of the walls again with new floor joists. We're going to connect the floor joists in the ceiling. Once those are done, we can safely remove the bracing that we've installed here. The engineer will come back again. He'll approve that everything has been structurally sound, everything is safe and supported, and we'll be able to proceed with building the walls on the second floor. All right, good afternoon, guys. We're at this project behind us here. It's at the final stages. We're almost at the finish line. Let's go and take a look how it's going. As you can see, guys, fire escape's been completed over here at one of our projects. Again, this is a city mandate requirement. For certain projects, if you do not have a secondary exit for a project, there are different methods and means that you have to have for fire escape. Luckily, some of these units do have a secondary exit, but for the secondary exit, because they are on upper floors, they need a safe and a fireproof way of exiting the building. In a case like this, it's having a metal staircase. All right, as you can see, guys, the metal staircase here is galvanized metal. This is for egress for the top 2 floors of the building. So the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor, this is their secondary exit. Because they need a secondary exit, the only way to do it is actually have a staircase that is fire retardant. So these stairs will not burn in case of a fire, which allows for a safe and quick exit for anyone that lives in this building. Yes, this is an emergency exit. However, this also can act as an entrance into the building. If the client wants to use this instead of using the front door, they are more than welcome to. It's their choice, it's their exit. It also acts as a nice area where, maybe with the extra little spot over here, you want to put a chair or two, give yourself a little breakfast table, or even hang up some plants. It's a little bit of exterior space that you might just gain without knowing that it's also for your safety. So it's a top up on our project here, guys. It's now a 3-story building. We've got a unit on each floor. So we got the ground floor unit on the left-hand side here, and then we've got a fire-rated door on the right-hand side here that takes us up to the top 2 floors. Let's go in and take a look at the upstairs floors. The reasoning for the fire-rated door is because we have 2 exits beside each other. This is a metal door. It's got a fire rating of 1 hour. This ensures that no matter what, if a fire was to happen in the building, the tenants that live in the upstairs units will have enough time to safely get themselves out and not have to worry about getting caught inside of a fire. As you can see, we got ourselves a nice long staircase that goes to the 2nd and 3rd floor. The pot lights aren't even installed yet, but we got a nice large window at the top and the front door that's bringing in enough light to actually illuminate the staircase. If you come in, you see towards the back there, you can see the fire escape out in the back. That's galvanized metal that was just finished being installed last week. We're standing in the painted unit. The cabinets have been installed, the plumbing's finished, the electrical's all done, the pot lights are done. Now we're into the final stages. We're gonna get all the power up and running, get the hydro connected outside. We're gonna get the water turned on. We're gonna test all the plumbing in the unit. And then we're gonna get our HVAC system up and going and make sure that the heat and the air conditioning work and that the HRV is bringing in fresh air from outside. In some of our past videos, guys, we've talked about the cantilevering system outside. So when you're outside, you see the span over top of us where we've created more living space for the above units. Now we're standing inside of those units. As you can see, the existing unit sits in this area here, but the cantilevering system is on this portion right here. So we've gained an extra 2-3 feet here, which allows us to get our cabinets installed here, gives us a bit of a larger living space, and overall creates a larger living room and living area for everything to go in. Coming to the front of the unit, guys, this is where the bedrooms are. So this is a 2-bedroom unit. So we've got 2 full 3-piece bathrooms in here. This one here, we've got a tub, a toilet, and a sink. Also, we've got a built-in washer and dryer in this washroom. And then in the main master bedroom, we've got ourselves a 3-piece that's got the sink, the toilet, and also a stand-up shower, both with shower glass. Again, with the cantilevering that was created, we're able to give ourselves now a walk-in closet and also create the depth and a more luxurious 3-piece washroom on the side of it.